people are saying that the YNs have no respect. However, you're not giving the YNs nothing to respect. All right, let's just refer to this particular scripture in regard to a lot of things that people dismiss. They kind of take what they want from this particular scripture and run with it. But let's focus on within Colossians 3:18-21. Let's focus on the ending of the scripture. Okay, they first start off this scripture by saying children should obey parents in everything, for this is pleasing to the Lord. But they fail to include the end of the scripture, which is, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged. And so let's go with the root word of provoke. Okay, to provoke from its Greek origin means to irritate, to arouse feelings such as hatred, hurt, shame, fear to the point of exasperation. Let's think about that. So the other translations, when it comes to do not bring them to a point of feeling hurt, is to exasperate, to aggravate. Do not drive them to resentment. Do not nag them. Do not embitter them. So this image that many of us have been brought up to believe that by being an overbearing type of tyrant of a parent figure is one in which many of us have grown up into. And if you're wanting to see a change within the trajectory of your life and the generations to come, it's going to force you to take a hard look at how it is that you're treating these YNs. Okay, you get the gist of it. And when you begin to correct your behaviors, some of the behaviors that you may see within the youth, they're going to auto-correct, because oftentimes they're going to give you some pushback. It may not be in the way in which you perceive. It may look to you as if they are being disrespectful, but in fact, you're teaching them to be disrespectful. So in their own way, they're going to show disrespect towards you. To actually see the change in them, you're going to have to put the first foot forward and actually meet them with respect. All right? They're only doing what they're being taught to do. Another thing that I want to focus on with this particular scripture in Colossians, and this scripture is based on the handbook that was given in regard to Paul's letter to the Colossians. And he was speaking about how if you discourage a child, it will close down their heart and cause them to hide within themselves. So when people are wondering why the youth, why the YNs are not connecting with them, or they're closed off, they don't want to communicate with them, it could be because you're not really caring about the things that they're interested in. It's not that you have to be fully engulfed in what they're interested in. It's not that at all. But when you're able to listen and be unbiased, when you're able to be a sounding board for them, they'll be much more interested in the fact that you have respect for them, even if you don't really understand what it is that they are interested in. Just the fact that you're listening, you're being encouraging, and you're showing them acceptance, you're embracing them opposed to rejecting them. All right, another thing I want to focus on regarding this is when we focus on particular scriptures like in Exodus 20:12, Ephesians 6:1-2, and Colossians 3:20. Now, these three scriptures is about the importance of children honoring and obeying their parents. Okay, many of us have been beat over our head with these particular scriptures, but they fail to put emphasis on the parent part of that. Most parents are abusing our authority. Okay, I'm guilty of that in some aspects, but thankfully I was able to do a sense of course correct when it came to how I showed up in this world mothering my children. All right, if you want to see your children show respect towards others, show respect towards you, be patient with others and you, show love and compassion, you have to treat them that way. Where do you think they're going to get it from if they're not having that? They have a void of that, and you just magically think that it's going to be there. This is why many children, they're very indifferent towards their parents or elders in general. Many of them buck back at that because they're trying to exert their boundaries. and they're also mimicking what they're being taught. So the scripture that I mentioned is giving you a little insight into how you can actually change in the way that you may have been raised in this way. And it's not necessarily put the onus on, the parents that you come from that have taught you that or have behaved that way. Many times people just think that it's customary, this is the way that they were treated, so they're going to continue to pass it on. But fortunately, if you're one of the ones that you realize that just because you are the next in line doesn't mean that you have to continue certain traditions. Certain traditions need to be broken for new ones to begin. So begin the tradition of providing affirmations, being positive towards your children, showing respect so that you can see a different outcome in the coming generations. Certain things like endlessly criticizing the children, okay? Not having a sense of emotional connection or neglect. Some people are they're not trying to connect with their children at all, or it could be physical neglect, okay? Being overly harsh is a way that I know some people think that you're making the child stronger, but in fact you're making it harder for the child to actually really be aligned with who they're designed to be from a soul perspective. This is how people are breaking their children's spirits down. And it's so much easier to build up a child than to try to repair an adult that has been broken. So one other thing I want to share in regards to this is when we go back to what Paul was speaking about in Ephesians 6:4, and that is, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. So this particular message from Paul is suggesting to be positive, to have like a faith-infused atmosphere, okay? Because that provides a space for the children to actually have a genuine connection with God. Your children, or children in general, you may not even have children, but it could be your nieces, your nephews, just children around you. They're seeing the embodiment of God in adults, and oftentimes they lose hope in God, they lose faith in humanity when they see that adults are treating them in ways that is breaking them down, that is being negative towards them. All right, so if you want to build a healthy foundation that will be solid and will not crumble, it's going to require you to do a thing that you may not have been provided, and that is to change the way in which you appeal to the youth, to the YNs as you call it. Another scripture I want to share is Proverbs 22:6, and that is, start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are older, they will not turn from it. Our children, the youth, need to see God's love and character personified within us. We're supposed to be the models. And it's so easy for people to say, I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not a model for children. Regardless if you don't want that title, that's just what's given to you. They're looking up to you. So do not neglect the divine responsibility you have as being a model of what it is to be a example of a future adult for them. And what you begin to receive is true favor from God. God shows favor for those that actually put in the effort to bring about a sense of nurturing and compassion towards others. Okay, one other thing I want to share this is, let's go to Hebrews. Hold on, you all. Hebrews 12:11. And it is, just a moment, afterwards there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way. So this is to say that sometimes, I know people like to put emphasis on, the children are out of control this day and age, but we have to also realize that we have the ability to shift that. If you're wilding out, if you're doing all kind of stuff and you think that somehow your children are going to be removed from that, especially in this technological age, you're sadly mistaken. So if you course correct, if you change the ways in which that you're modeling behaviors, you're going to see the benefit of being committed to shifting forward, and you're going to see that also show up in your children. All right, that's all I have for now. Like and subscribe. See you here next time. Bye-bye.